think we'll give it a start. So hello, welcome everyone. Today, thank you for joining us for the PPMA Awards 2024 showcase webinars around Best Workforce Transformation and Change Initiative. For those who know me and don't know me, I'm Chris Grimes. I'm the Sales Director for Matrix SCM or Matrix. At Matrix, we're really proud to sponsor this award and and we're a proud partner of the PPMA and have been for a number of years. We support. We hope our support helps to demonstrate the recognition of excellence in the workforce and transformation across the public sector. We understand the commitment and the innovation it takes to implement impactful change, not only to elevate public services, but also to make a meaningful difference in the communities that you all serve. So, heartfelt thanks to everyone who entered the awards and continues to do some really excellent work in the public sector. We've got some really great speakers today from London Pathology and Stockport Council. So we extend our congratulations to this year's winner for leading the way in which they've delivered workforce innovation. We think your work exemplifies the very best of what can be achieved in driving positive change, and we're proud to celebrate your success with you today. Enough of me of wittering on. Without further ado, if I pass you on to our colleagues, I believe from London Pathology.
Thank you very much, Chris, for that lovely welcome. Hi, everyone. I'm Saga Misagan-Cully, Managing Director for North West London Pathology. I'm just going to share some slides, so hopefully they will be appearing any moment. Let me know once you have those in your view. Can you see them?
Yeah, we can see them.
Excellent, brilliant. Great, so I'm joined by some of my colleagues who will also be taking some of these slides as well, so you don't have to put up just with my voice. So thank you very much for joining us. So few people actually realize the importance of laboratory medicine and pathology services in healthcare. And that really is the examination and testing of tissues, organs, bodily fluids to support the work of doctors, nurses, and scientists. So today, lab processes are a key component of about 85% of clinical decisions. And this means that pathology providers like us are crucial in ensuring that the best possible patient outcomes are met. So ensuring high standards of training within pathology services is really extremely relevant to the quality of the care that's received by every patient undergoing treatment through the NHS today. So in 2018, as part of NHS England's sort of pathology service consolidation program, North West London Pathology, and we'll start calling it NWLP from now on, was formed out of pathology capabilities of 3 distinct hospital trusts. And we became a distinct entity and spent the last 5 years completing a huge transformation program into one of the UK's largest leading networks. Now, we are employing over 1,000 people across 7 sites, and this has led to unique challenges, especially in the wake of the prolonged period of significant challenge and change during our transformation. As a new type of entity within the NHS, we've had to modify lots of existing NHS processes or create new ones to meet the unique needs that we've got. And this presentation is just one example of some of those changes. And that's our onboarding program that started small, but has gone on to really impact every role and every level of our organization. So when it came to onboarding, as recently as 2021, different laboratories within NWLP and all of the sites still operated somewhat independently. Each one and each of our sites still ran a 2-hour, 2-hour corporate onboarding session, and then training employees on the job was how it was essentially led. And that basically led to lots of variation in the new starters' experiences and skill level. And there was a lot more burden on training of staff. There was lots of inconsistent ways of working and practices and standards, lots of difficulties in transferring people to work between the sites, of which we have 7, and a lack in any sense of belonging to NWLP. So at the time, when I first joined the organization, I would travel between the various sites and meet people and occasionally say, well, how do you find this? Who do you work for? And lots of people said lots of different things. People cited their department, their site, the hospital they were working on, but none of them actually said Northwest London Pathology. So despite all of the work that we've done to transform our services, to unify our practices, the way that our network operated, from an onboarding point of view, NWLP was still acting like multiple separate entities. And then we added the COVID pressures, and the risk of these silos was becoming all too real. And actually, in one case, we had a new member of staff that turned up on their first day on the job at one of the laboratories, and people asked them who they were and what they were doing there. So as you can imagine, on their arrival, this is a desperately terrible situation to be in, and we knew that we had to do something about it. So our training manager, Janki, she brought in a very unique perspective really to the table. She started out with us as our first ever practice educator in pathology, and her remit was really to take over and have an overall view of training and education. And this, this kind of practice educator role was fairly standard in most healthcare settings, but we were the first in the UK to actually bring in a practice educator into our network. And then alongside Angela, who's obviously our director of operations, as I said earlier, the two already had been working on one-off induction week for an annual sort of initiative that was to support groups of students, between 5 and 15 of them, who were sort of joining us that September. And we realized that this was an ideal platform to address the problems that we were facing as a network. So it was decided that the induction week, the subject of this presentation, really became something that we started to deliver on a monthly basis.
Hi, so the challenges, converting a one-off group induction for students into monthly onboarding for all employees meant redesigning the program to different skill levels and role descriptions compared to a single student cohort we originally designed this for. And to be clear, nothing like this existed before. Nobody in pathology in the UK has anything like this, and operational managers weren't convinced that was needed. So aligning new employee start dates with a single day each month also caused friction, and detractors believe that this would deter new starters by restricting their start date. And then in contrast to the wider NHS approach, we managed all of this within a few months, policies, HR clearance, infrastructure that was required. Working with agility is almost unheard of within the NHS, and this is another area in which we believe we're leading the way. This was the first induction event actually required special permission. We still had COVID restrictions that were lifting at the time, and any gathering of people at the time was a difficult task, but we fought on our case. Eventually we were given permission to launch the programme. And with support from the senior exec team, Saga and Andrew in particular, who were here as well, we fought to engage our operational managers and constantly selling the benefits of this approach, and were able to convince them to try. And you can see the benefits of there to be seen on the slide for you. In practice, we saw no reduction in intake numbers. In fact, the same managers who were initially reluctant have become some of our greatest supporters, now actively sending their existing staff to induction week as a refresher, making suggestions, adding additional content, and so on. And so, we needed to foster a sense of belonging to one NWLP team. So we designed a program that was appropriate for employees at all sites and all trusts, starting with the introduction to NWLP on the first day, with content becoming more and more specialized to the lab techniques as the weeks went on. This allowed sort of admin or lab staff to attend relevant days, allowing us to run the same schedule the first week of each month, and training every kind of attendee, including existing employees, as induction week gained popularity. So they could dip in and out as needed, and to cover the training relevant to them. And this is Training Lab. One advantage to accessing the resources of free hospitals was realized when we saw an opportunity in converting a disused lab into a training setting. The new Training Lab let us establish a baseline for health and safety and proper equipment use in a simulated safe environment before they move to their respective departments. As far as we're aware, we are the only pathology network in the country to conduct training in this way.
So what we've realised now is that this programme has really solidified our NWLP culture, and this is following years of ongoing change and upheaval. And as Janky mentioned, in response to our internal demand, we're now taking existing colleagues from across all departments into our induction week, and any internal promotions they will also attend as part of their onboarding into their new role. And induction week really now has become a cultural touchstone for us. We get glowing feedback from attendees, managers and other stakeholders. And really it's all supported by improvements in internal promotion, vacancy and retention rates that we're seeing on a regular basis. So the induction load on individual departments has significantly reduced and in some cases completely evaporated. New starters are now able to contribute in a meaningful way on their first day on site, and managers are really sure and encouraged that they've got a strong foundation. And this is including all the mandatory training and meeting the standards that we need as part of an accredited service. It's a weight off their minds and one less responsibility to discharge, leaving them to focus on leading their successful teams. So the shared induction experience has created a much stronger sense of belonging in individual employees across our network, with new starters forming friendships and working relationships with their current employees, as well as teams that they are then placed within. So the standardised experience ensures that everybody has access to the same support structures and also knows how to use them. The one phrase we use a lot within our development team is get your lanyard on. And to get it on and wear it with pride. Induction week attendees are given the lanyard on their first day, and this really helps identify as NWLP employees so that they can identify and connect with colleagues across any site. It's even more relevant now, as thanks to the shared induction, we're able to move staff site to site to cover shortfalls, and this is something that was really fraught with difficulty before. In one case, we moved staff in response to a London-wide major incident when we had inspectors on site, and their report include feedback commenting on how impressed they were with this capability. This small addition has become a massive boost to our sense of belonging, and today nobody ever has to be asked, well, who are you and what are you doing here? So it's not the first time that assessors have commented on standards that we've been able to maintain, and in no small part this is thanks to every inductee receiving the same standard and high level of training in alignment with our values. And as you can see on the screen, we're accredited through several industry bodies scoring exemplary ratings for each.
So the impact of this Induction Week initiative has been felt across the network. It has really helped us establish a progressive, uniform identity and culture, hugely important to a relatively new organization that works across multiple sites like we do. And it significantly contributed to our 5-year strategic plans and the objectives of creating a thriving, sustainable and agile workforce that has been empowered to deliver our vision for the future of Northwest London pathology. We routinely share our best practice and news of our successes through all kinds of opportunities to speak at conventions, conferences, and recently we had our own NWLP symposium, which was very well received, and we're doing that routinely now on an annual basis going forward. So feedback has really been positive, and we've been approached by lots of other groups from the NHS and outside of the NHS to help them think about the design that they might want to have or how they might be able to address some of these challenges that they've got within their organisation. All UK pathology networks are assessed by NHS England as well, according to 5 levels of maturity matrix score. We're really proud to be one of only 2 national networks that have been able to actually achieve the thriving level. And this is really no small part thanks to all of the initiatives that have, and all the people that have worked to make initiatives like this really come to life. And in fact, lots of other providers, as I've said, are looking to replicate our success, faced with similar challenges. The creation of an onboarding program and a solution like this, to their own unique requirements is really key. And we truly believe that this approach is the approach that will be implemented across the UK. And actually, last week I was attending a conference where people were queuing up to ask us to help them relook at the opportunities that they've got within the opportunities. So, we thought about this when we were putting the slides together about, you know, why we've benefited the NHS and why we have potentially won awards for this program. But each of us has or will benefit from the NHS at some point in our lives, right? And I think whether that's directly or indirectly through treatments or services that we access and family and friends. The pathology services are a massive contributor to the quality of care that people receive, and the high percentage of clinical decisions that are made. Our responsibility really is to our staff to make sure that the results are of the best quality and the best consistency, so that we can serve our populations well. So over the coming years, we really do anticipate that the induction week will become a blueprint. In fact, as I said, many other providers are looking at us to help them provide this. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity to really think about, you know, the impact that concentrating on our people, our workforce, and people, whether they're new to the organization or established, make a massive difference. And I think generally, you know, if you think about the next time that someone, either yourself or someone, has a blood test, a biopsy taken, or has been, you know, diagnosed with something through a lab or a pathology service, there's a real chance that the experts that have done those tests have attended, you know, a program that has been designed by us and has been run by us, or at least they've been inspired by some of the work that that we do. So this is us. Yeah, thank you very much, and happy to take questions.
Thanks very much for that. I don't think we've got any questions in the chat right now, but perhaps what we'll do is we'll save the questions to the end, and if time allows, obviously once we've had conversations from the webinar aspect from Stockport, then we'll take some questions from chat. For those listening, if you've got any questions, then feel free to pop them into the chat, and we'll go through them at the end of the webinar. But thank you so much, that's really interesting. Over to our colleagues at Stockport Council then. So look forward to hearing your transformation story as well.
Wonderful, thank you so much, and that was fascinating to hear. We're doing a lot of focus on induction in Stockport at the moment, so I think I might be tapping you up for some ideas because it sounds amazing. So hi colleagues, my name's Jenny Neal and I'm the Head of HR and Organisational Development at Stockport Council, and I'm also joined by my colleague Ben Jones on the call, who's here to help with any questions that you may have. So let me just get my screen up and we'll kick off. Just get the slideshow up. Okay, are we okay? There's a screen up there. Wonderful,
Yes.
thank you. So really lovely to be here today to talk about our highly commended award for our Workforce Transformation and Change Initiative. So we've really focused on technology being a way to support our colleagues and workforce right across the council, and delivering a digital revolution, and that's absolutely aligned to the values that we have in Stockport. So keeping Stockport and our residents at the heart of what we do, succeeding as a team, collaborating with colleagues and partners, driving things forward with ambition, always looking at that even better if, and respect and valuing our colleagues, partners and customers. So everything we do is linked back into those values. So just in terms of context and what I'm going to talk to you about, so we established a people plan in 2021, so right during the pandemic, hearing from our colleagues about how they were feeling, around communication, flexible working, what life was feeling like from a wellbeing perspective. And we didn't have a people plan before that, so it was very much an opportunity to hear from our colleagues about how they wanted us to be as an organisation. So lots of insight, lots of information, and we developed that people plan, which is our workforce strategy. And in there are 5 pillars. So we talk about how you join us, that induction, you know, really coming and having a great experience through recruitment and handing over, making sure that our colleagues grow and thrive in our organisation, and they're given the opportunities to do the best that they can, that we support them, that they feel included, that they've got a voice that's heard. And one of the things I was really keen was to sort of review the employee journey and look at every opportunity where we could digitalise interactions wherever possible, where we could automate, so that my team can be really used to that interactions and those really valuable relationships and the really, really knotty stuff. So we've got over 7,000 colleagues, 3,000 within the council, but we also support our schools teams as well. And we provide payroll internally and externally to partners. Really, really busy team, lots of high pressure work. You know, we've got to make sure everyone gets paid and everyone gets paid right and everyone gets paid on time. So lots of focus and importance in that area, but not really much time to think, very reactive, just dealing with all the information that's coming through. So 16,000 items of correspondence in that team last year, and it comes at us in so many different methods, doesn't it? We get emails, we'll get Teams messages, we get even paper sometimes, occasionally, a whole range of flow of information coming through, and the teams are responding at pace and do the best that they can. But we've relied heavily on email, post, etc., around payroll information, and that can lead to errors, and then that's more work for the team to tidy up, and frustrating for the person at the end of it if they're not getting the right pay, and also potentially missing that payroll deadline and, you know, data protection issues. So a whole range of issues on what we wanted to improve. So we took a collaborative approach, looking at how we can improve our offer, speed up those processes whilst improving the information coming in. And my colleague, Vicky White, who's done all this work, she's not available today, but she works in such an amazing way where she gets into the team, she builds the relationships, and she just really understands the issues that they're dealing with and looks at different ways of building solutions. So we'd already used Microsoft 360 forms in different parts of the council. In fact, when I talked about that people plan engagement, we'd use online forms to gather information, and we could just get information really quickly. Lots of kind of background data, and, you know, really much more simple than what we've been doing. So she'd use that form to develop data capture forms and build automated workflows. Working with our workforce, really understanding what issues that they were dealing with and looking at where we could make that more digital. So building those forms, looking at how we can really sort of use them better and sharing that with the team. And Vicky's approach has been kind of, I'll work with you on this. So I'm going to help you build that capacity so you can do that longer term, so it isn't just that single point of failure. So in terms of implementation, we've just started off with some simple online forms. Let's start easy. Let's kind of work out what's going to make a difference, and then let's see what we can build up. So just things like parental leave, flexible retirement, buying back leave. A lot of those things would have been done through phone calls or emails, and you then requiring that sort of to and fro of information, not knowing where it is in your inbox, where things up to, what's happening with stuff. So really trying to build those forms to make those processes as simple as possible. And I'm really keen on enabling our workforce to access the information that they need themselves. If it's something simple, let's find a way to give it to them so that we can then focus on the more complex stuff. So we created automation for the flows to remove the need for emails to be sent by someone, keeping everything out in one place. But we could also push out information in the email, such as, you know, we've received it, this is what's going to happen next. Here's some of the information that we can signpost you to. Here's the policies, the guidance. So really trying to equip the workforce with enabling them to self-serve. We also then developed workflows that allowed us to automatically update a manager where appropriate of a change to an employee's details, for example. So if I've got a member of my team that gets married, or, you know, change of information, and I can get that information sent to me quite quickly. We created workflows so that data came in on the forms and it went into a SharePoint or a work planner. So then the team had that collective view of those tasks. You know, if it's in an inbox, it's a lot harder to manage that information. So you've got that collective view, you can see who's working on what and where things are up to. But really important for me is that we get insight. You start to get that really, really rich data. So taking that approach of being data-led and insight-driven, we start to get information around trends. We can start to see if we've got particular hotspots. So we've developed a business partnering model, and that equips those business partners to go back into the directorates to say, actually, we've got some stuff going on here. Maybe we've got some issues around sickness, or maybe we've got some issues around a peak in grievances, for example. Is there something we need to do about training? Is there something that we might need to do about support? What do we need to do to wrap around the directorates? And that insight has been so valuable because the team are there to advise and guide, but also then the manager is equipped with that information. So they might have a bit of a, I think something's going on here, but you can reflect back and be a mirror in terms of this is what it looks like. And our leaders then have access to that insight and are able to use that in decision making. It also helps with things like recruitment, their workforce planning, thinking about things like their sort of succession planning, pay awards. So it just really helps that strategic approach to supporting our workforce. So we've built approvals processes that need further scrutiny. So that might be things around staffing changes. And in the past, that might have gone to several different approvers. It's sat in an inbox, you're waiting for that person to sign it off, then it goes to another layer, and kind of like, where is all of this information? And that sort of, the new approvals meant that the teams and the service leads are then spending less time chasing up the request. There's a clear audit trail of where it's up to. You can log into your planner, you can say, oh, that's sat with finance, I need a conversation, or you know exactly where the information is. It's also really helpful in terms of talking back to your teams. If you've got real resource pressures and we're desperate to recruit, at least we can say this is where things are up to. We know we can move things forward. It's been really important in terms of time saving as well. So we're able to save an hour per form using an online system. And also I think it just reduces some of the anxiety when people have got really fast-paced jobs and they're trying to get things done. At least they're like, right, I know where that's up to, I can get on with my next job. So quick access to data, and we can view those trends, which is really, really important. So not just within the directorates, but also at that corporate level, we get a really good overview about what our workforce is looking like and what we need to be thinking about moving it forward. So just in terms of key achievements, we've got over 100 forms in place now, and most of those are plugged into workflows that are saving time. We can turn things on really quickly. We can stop them if we need to. We can reprofile them wherever we need to do. So we can be really agile to the requests that are coming in from our service. We've streamlined huge amounts of our processes, and we've got that automation. It's been really, really important so that people can be equipped with information, things can come back to them, but they're not then necessarily waiting for that to and fro-in of emails. And we've worked out that saved us over 8,000 hours annually in one team alone. It's enhancing our service and reliability to our customers and stakeholders, and it is enabling us to be more strategic and helping us to have that real focus on our workforce. Everything's been based around our council values that are absolutely underpinned in all of our processes. And we've really championed digital innovation and collaboration. So constantly looking at what's working, what could work even better, and how can we make this a digital process wherever possible. And just a bit of a case study really to bring that to life. I've worked at the local authority for 12 years. I've been the head of HR and OD for 4 years, but previously I've worked in the directorates where I have been a recruiting manager. I have needed staffing, and a number of years ago the process was so resource intensive and quite frustrating. It was done on a Word document. You'd have to complete a business case, and even if you knew you were recruiting, your heart would sink because you think, oh, I've got to write that business case, it's going to take me ages. And it would then go off to all its different rounds and get you different levels of approvals, and you'd be coordinating that, emailing it off the person getting the approval, sending that to somebody else, and then it went to a panel. And the purpose of that panel was to have that strategic oversight across the council, so it could be really clear on what the recruitment asks were and make sure that there was support and challenge in place. But it put a lot of time into the system. And putting that online form in has just been, I would say, revolutionary if I'm a recruitment manager, because it's so quick. We've also stripped out a lot of the information that was in there previously, building it on trust, but we've got the information that we need to know to make that process through. We'll have a conversation. I'll speak to my accountant before I put anything through. So when that lands in their inbox, it's as quick as, yep, I'm approving this. I know that this is needed. We've got the strategic objective for it. We've got the budget, etc. And it can happen within 24 hours. It's so quick. But really importantly, the intel that sits behind that is brilliant, because I can then reflect back to our corporate leadership team. These are the trends. This is where we're recruiting. This is where we've got issues. If we have got issues, what do we need to do differently about it? So, for example, we know we've got a national recruitment in social care recruitment. So we've been able to wrap around our children's and adult social care teams to do things differently, to reduce that agency spend and look at how we can make roles for our social workers more permanent. So yeah, made the process a lot quicker, made it a lot more accurate, and then equipped us with that workforce insight to enable our future planning. And that's an overview of the work that we've been doing. So I'll just pause there. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really really interesting, Jenny, and really great to hear. Obviously, that digital transformation obviously is a bit of a, from both of you, is kind of, you know, an easy sort of phrase to throw around, but it sounds some really interesting work that both sort of Stockport and London Pathology have kind of undertaken. So thank you both for the insights. There's no questions in the chat, so just open to the floor really. Has anyone got any questions either for Jenny and Ben, or for the guys at London Pathology? Okay. Don't think so. I think the deafening silence is a no then. Thank you so much to both organisations for taking the time to share the really interesting, exciting work that you guys have continue to do, and obviously which form part of your award submissions. Just to reiterate, you know, from my part, you know, we're incredibly proud to sponsor this award, and I think that both the winning award and the obviously the submissions in general were of a really high standard. So it's really kind of evident to the fantastic work that you guys do. Thank you everyone for your time. I guess if there's no questions, we'll close then today and have a fantastic end to your fantastic end to your Wednesday and the rest of your week. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby.
Bye.
Bye.